What is up, everybody? It is episode 4. Can you believe it? We've made it to episode 4 of Rig for Dirt. It is Ali and
Frank,
and we are here at the trailhead of the Anza Borrego Coyote Trail.
Yeah. It's if we sound tired,
It's because we are.
It's a really good reason. We're actually recording this at 10:30 at night, right? Or almost 11.
No, it's definitely 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30 at night, and like Ollie said, we're on the trail in a kind of pseudo campsite on Coyote.
It's not a campsite at all. It is a side road.
Yeah, it is kind of like a bypass.
Bypass for sure.
Yeah, we're like on an island for the bypass.
But in the spirit of bringing you guys each episode from an actual location,
Right.
we are
Here we are, right? We said, you know what? It was raining in Orange County. What are the chances it's not going to rain in Anza? Let's do it.
Right. Well, actually, this all started out on Friday where I came out to meet up with KC Highlights, my buddy Randy from KC.
Right.
And he had me come out, had Brad from Trail Recon, had Adam from, I think it's, Hey, It's That One Dude, or
Yes.
is that right?
Yeah. Hey, that one. Hey. Now you confuse me.
Oh, it's that one dude?
I think it's you're that one dude.
Something.
Yeah.
It's
It's
that
like
dude.
it's like separated by underscores. You're that one dude.
Right. And yeah, we had another JK from Icon over there at the booth, and me and Randy ended up camping out at Tierra del Sol,
Right.
at the vendor area, inside the vendor area.
Right.
And it was great until 3:00, and then the winds picked up.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 3:00 in the morning. And
So
then
you guys came out here on Friday.
Friday night, yeah.
I did not. I guess we could just go chronological, right? Because
Sure.
that's basically that's
Yeah.
probably the best way to tell any story.
So basically, I put in a solid half day's work and then headed out. I ended up getting out to Tierra del Sol, which is this. It's like I would call it King of the Hammers without
Yeah.
the big race.
Yeah, that was a really good explanation.
Yeah.
Like when you told me that, you're like, this is basically what it's like today.
You still have like fields of RVs all surrounding this one vendor area, and in the case of Tierra del Sol, or TDS as people call it, it's surrounding basically the Truck Haven 4x4 little training area. So there's a lot of really, really cool obstacles out there. I highly recommend it if you're within 150 miles of Truck Haven. It's a very cool spot to go check out. A lot of trails around the area, and then actual obstacles and built up trail roads in the center of this area. So unfortunately, you and I didn't get a chance to do that. But on Friday night, when I was up here after setting up, took off in Adam's badass Jeep. I mean, that thing's pretty built. Suspension's amazing.
That thing's insane. I mean, that deserves almost a full episode by itself. Like, I've seen a lot of crazy Jeeps, including yours, and this one is.
Well, it's very like purpose built. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's no top to it.
There's no top to it. It's got
Yeah.
half doors.
He's got that Genrite cage, and he's got quite a few pieces from Genrite.
40-inch
actually.
tires.
Yeah.
Like it's a
40s.
yeah. It's a beast.
Yeah, and so Adam took him and his buddy were there. Keith is an awesome dude as well. Both of them were just great guys, and really fun to hang out with, and look forward to future trips. But he took Randy and I in the back seat, and we just started mobbing around the Truck Haven, area. It was probably 9:30 at night, and same kind of vibe from King of the Hammers, where everybody was just like rooting each other on, cheering, just a good crowd, lots of fun. I felt like you could probably think of it as like a little bit slower, a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
But definitely just as much fun. It was definitely a good time. So we kind of drove around, and then we went into this dried riverbed, which was just amazing because it had these 15, 20-foot walls that just, surround you on either side. And it's got a lot of V, what do you call them? V gulches, offshooting the main.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so we, at one point, we ended up driving up one of those, and we were kind of getting bogged down because the dirt there is so soft.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it's pretty deep sand once you get into those washes for sure.
And so we haven't even crested yet, and we pretty much know it's flat, but we didn't realize how rutted it would be, like how many of these little like gulches would be just like all around. So
Right, right.
Adam kind of backs up, and then he just guns it, and we just come flying over the crest, and he stops just short of one of these like little deep little like ravines, like it was like a 4 or 5 foot ravine, like.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was we got a good laugh out of that. But yeah, so didn't really get to sleep last night until like 12:30, and then by 3 a.m. the winds kicked up
Wow.
proper. Yeah, so I mean, I love my tent held up amazing. That here comes the plug.
Right.
80-inch that 80-inch high country, which I'm actually selling right now, and probably hopefully be sold by the time you guys even hear this. To get another Free Spirit high country, but with the tri-layer outer.
Yeah,
Um,
it can get pretty cold out, I mean, at least lately, right? Like lately, I feel like we've been dealing with a lot of really cold nights.
Yeah, it's been really chilly. I mean, surprisingly, at TDS, the weather was not the issue at all. As far as like the temperature, because it was
Right.
so nice and warm last
It's
night.
nice right now. I'm wearing a t-shirt. It's 10:30 at night.
I got scarred by the Mojave Road because that was cold, and I ended up bringing 3 sleeping bags, and I was just sweating. So, yeah, I can never be just prepared. I am either underprepared or overprepared, but not enough. Anyway, so then yeah, woke up at 3 o'clock, and it was just off and on until like 5:30 when the first razors or side by sides, whatever the hell they were, started firing their engines up and like heading out to
5:30 in
trail.
the morning.
Yeah, man,
That's
these
crazy.
guys are dedicated to get an early start, and
Well, on the flip side, the trails are going to be empty at 5:30 in the morning. So I
right,
kind of get it. Like if you're into
right.
doing trail runs and you want to get away from the crowds at a place that's nothing but crowds, I get it.
That's a legitimate assumption. I would kind of go along the lines of that too, and it's almost like fresh powder on the
Yeah,
mountain,
exactly.
right? So eventually woke up, kind of rolled out of the tent by like around 7:30 because I heard a couple guys outside of my rig talking about the rig and asking questions to each other about the rig, and I'm like, I might as well go answer their questions. And
Meanwhile,
so,
you're sleeping on top of it.
yeah, I'm sleeping on top of it, and they had no idea actually.
Right. Dude climbs out of the tent. What?
So when my wife says I snore, I think she's lying. I think she just wants to
Yeah,
kick me
because
in
they
the
had
middle
no
of the night.
idea you were in there,
Yeah,
right?
they had no idea I was in there. So if I snored as bad as she said I snored,
Right.
Um. Anyway, so got up, and yeah, it was from that point on. It was like shaking babies and kissing hands, and I uh I got breakfast going. Actually, we had a pretty bomb dinner. We had like ribeye steaks and broccolini, which I mean, the food part is always like one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Maybe not what we just had right now. You're still waiting for your mountain. What's it called?
Let's see.
Mountain country.
I don't know, but it's freeze dried.
Yeah, your
That's all I
freeze dried
know. It's
meal,
freeze dried and
mashed potatoes and what?
and chicken.
And chicken. Yeah,
It's Mountain House. That's what it is.
Mountain House.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
we'll get to that in a minute because there's a whole story on how we ended up in this
yeah,
particular situation.
and my peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
And anyway, so yeah, the night before we had broccolini and ribeyes, and then that morning we had some leftover ribeyes, so we did steak and eggs. And Randy was like, "Dude, I pack sandwiches." I'm like, "Screw your sandwiches. We're eating good."
We're eating well tonight.
Yeah, we're eating well tonight and in the morning. And then yeah, so helped out myself, Adam, Keith, all helped out Randy with questions, talking about our rigs, Brad as well. It was such a good like I think I've been really fortunate so far. I have not fallen with a crew that I just have not liked and loved.
Yeah. Yeah.
Between Adam, Keith, Brad, and Randy, it was just like solid. And then the photographer that so we ended up doing a photo shoot later on. And by that time you had finally come. I think it was what, like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Yeah. So leading up to that, like my day started actually in a similar hour. Like I was up and around by 6 in the morning, because I had rigs and coffee to go
That's
to,
right. Yep.
at 8.
I missed that.
But I also had to hook up this trailer because I came out here with a trailer from
Off the grid.
off the grid. Yeah,
Yep.
off the grid rentals, hooked up on the trailer, and so
Who'd you get that through?
through Rebel.
That's right.
Yeah,
Rebel
yeah.
Off-Road.
So
Yep.
so huge shout out to them because last minute when I decided to come out here, it was completely like the forecast was to be just raining cats and dogs, completely pissing rain,
Right.
right? And so I said, knowing I was going to get out here late, I said, the last thing I want to do is be setting up a tent in the cold, in the
Sure.
rain, and in the mud.
Yep.
So I kind of bit the bullet, looked at the pricing, and I said, "Hey, you know what? Let's do it, right?" And so I was originally going to get a rooftop tent. They kind of talked me into a trailer, and so the end result is I'm here with this teardrop off-road trailer, which is legit. Like
It's
it's
really
amazing.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a super comfy queen size mattress inside, and then it's got
That's a queen size in there?
maybe a little bit smaller,
Yeah.
maybe smaller.
It's pretty
It's
roomy.
definitely not a twin. Like it's definitely bigger. It's kind of an in betweener.
Nice.
But it fits two people comfortably. It has an ARB fridge. One of those really fancy kind of stoves. It's legit. Like we were, like you said, right, leading up to that, we were off roading pretty much all day today,
Yep.
and it handles fantastically on the back of the FJ. So. I had to hook that up, get it all dialed. So then, took it to Rigs and Coffee, spent a few hours there.
How was that
Oh,
today?
dude, awesome turnout. Like it was, no joke, it
Bigger?
was dumping rain, completely just dumping rain the
And they
entire
still showed
time,
up.
and people still showed up in force. Like we
That's
had,
rad.
we had almost 50 rigs, like 45-ish, I think I counted at one point, and everyone was having a great time. People had all of their awnings out. They were all just kind of going. The social part of it was people were just kind of going from awning to awning,
Nice.
right? So like even they were like little frogs going to like lily pads, right? They were just kind of jumping from awning to awning, and it was actually pretty cool. And they were talking, making plans, having all kinds of cool conversations. Um, and then I once that was done, hopped on the highway, came here, and the craziest thing, I'm coming. It's raining the entire way here. It's still raining. I get to uh, Cabazon where the
Okay.
dinosaurs are,
Right.
right? And there's just a wall. Like the clouds just stop.
No doubt.
And it's just completely sunny and beautiful.
Nice.
And the highway is dry. The
Right.
dirt is dry.
You can
Like
see the
not
line.
a drop of rain has hit past that wall.
Very cool.
And I was blown away. And that's pretty much how it stayed the entire freaking day here.
Yeah, I mean, in the morning we actually we had a really cool setup. We had three of the rigs that were kind of circled around, so we had like a nice little triangle in the middle,
Yeah.
and then we had set up the fire pit in the middle of that, and I had my cooking table off the side of my Jeep, but it was like a legit, like authentic setup because that's just the
Yeah,
way we
yeah, yeah.
put it together, and we had decided, hey, let's just leave it. Me and Randy were talking like, let's just leave it, so that way we kind of tell a more true story to like what we're doing out here and like this lifestyle of adventure and and travel. And so we got all stoked about it and we're like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And then it starts raining, and it just starts like totally pissing on us, and we're like, shit. So I'm
That
like,
was this morning?
yeah, and I'm tearing everything back down and I'm throwing it all into the Jeep like haphazardly, and um and as soon as I finished, I put the last piece in the Jeep, the rain stops, and then it never rained again.
It never rained again. Yeah, well,
No.
by the time I got here, the weather was nice. It was like 78, 80 degrees,
Yeah. All
and
day long. It
all
was
day long.
gorgeous.
It was beautiful. The only problem was the wind.
Right.
Like
So
there was, it
the
was
big
you were
old
getting
W.
sandblasted
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah. The big bad W came and
Yeah.
decided it was gonna stay and not go anywhere.
And weirdly, like you said, right, by this time I'm here and it's just super windy. You've got these like walls of dirt that are just coming at you.
Right.
These sheets. Like
Yeah.
I can't explain it any
Legit
other way.
sandstorms at some points.
Yeah, like serious sandstorms. And then we go out to Fonts Point, and there's no wind.
Right.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
It's
it was
still.
really nice.
It's warm. The view is like spectacular.
Yeah.
And
So basically, you ended up coming, and yeah. So Randy had scheduled a photo shoot, and I'm so stoked that you were able to make it because you
Yeah.
got to be part of that since you have the Casey Gravity Pro 6 on the front of your rig.
yep.
So and you've got that cool little Pac-Man deal going. So it was rad having you there, and we take off to
To Fonts Point.
Fonts Point,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, like I did not realize that like that view even existed out there. Like
Totally.
so you end up driving down this trail, and it's a really fun trail. You get up to speed. I mean, I would highly recommend having some people on the trail ahead of you just to like spot and let you know if anybody's coming. But it's pretty wide open, nice, decent packed dirt, and you can have a little fun, like,
And it's scenic all the way up to the
yeah,
point.
getting
Like
a little
it's not like you
squirrely.
just get to the. It's not like you have to like
Right.
trudge through all this stuff just to get to the
No,
scenic
it's
part.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful the whole way there.
Yeah, I mean, you're surrounded by these amazing mountains and canyons, and like, the way the light was hitting it today was just like freaking majestic.
Yeah.
So, totally awe-inspiring, and just, part of the reason why we even do what we do and get out to these, like, locations and locales, is to just, get these like scenes in our head. Like,
Yep.
I don't even really take a picture, and I don't think a picture could have really done it justice.
No, definitely not.
But I just really soaked it in today and was like so stoked about it. And granted, I did take a couple shots of what we were doing, but some of those moments just kind of like, I have those filed away in the back of my head now. But anyways, so you drive up this road, and then you get to this area, and I had no idea what we were going to. Like, I'd never been there, I've never seen it, I've never even heard about it. So you kind of see all these cars parked, and there's a little roundabout, and then the trail goes back down, and it turns into a one way. So right when you get into this like area, there's like a do not enter sign, going back the way you came.
Yeah, towards the right.
Did you just hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We got things moving in the bushes around us. It's kind of sketch, but whatever. I guess that's
The
part of the
coyotes.
adventure. Yeah.
We got some coyotes that are.
Tons
They
of
were.
coyotes out
You
here.
can't hear them now, and I was hoping they'd come out. That you'd hear them on the mic. But there was some coyotes off here in the hills. I wouldn't say they're super close. Probably a good, 400 or 500 yards out there on the hillside.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see the little sparkle
Yeah,
of their
little
eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
far
they're
so good.
definitely around because they were like howling it up over here in the foothills just about half an hour ago.
Maybe they don't like Persian food. Anyways, so we get we get to that point where all the cars are parked, and we get out and we start walking up towards this little slope, and yeah, no clue we were going into that, but it was just this breathtaking like valley that just like fell out below us. How would you have described it? I mean, it was just this.
It was like looking at the Badlands.
It was like a trench.
Yeah,
It was like a trench, like the ocean removed from it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was just these like kind of crazy, kind of like deteriorated landscape that was totally cut away by water.
Right.
Right. It was all just
All eroded.
all eroded. Yeah, all the way around. I mean, it looked like the Badlands, and it was just an amazing view. And we started geeking out. Like all of us, we're a bunch of grown ass men, and we're running around like taking pictures and
Sitting on like the little like edges of the points of
Yeah.
the top of the valley, with a few hundred feet drop below us. Are those bats?
other bats.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hope you guys can hear them on the mics. I'm gonna be quiet so you guys can hear it.
Oh, that's
All right.
That's what you hear when you're out here.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
really,
There's some
like,
bats, and I think it's the lights. They're attracting all the moths, so that's attracting all the bats.
and you don't really hear a lot out here though.
No,
Like, so
it's
every little noise
dead
just like is
quiet, yeah.
amplified. So if you want some peace and tranquility, this is definitely the kind of spot to come
This is a
to.
good spot, and it's really not that far.
And tonight is like amazing with the stars too.
Oh, it's
Like,
beautiful.
The stars are out. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. So we get out there, and there's this massive valley below us, and you can see all these eroded like channels all below, and the kind of muddy like runoff that's just kind of settling in at the bottom of these like little ravines and what have you. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like hundreds of feet like
Yeah,
that you would just drop if you fell
totally.
off. Yeah,
Totally.
just amazing. And I kind of got a kick out of that girl that walked by us, or woman,
Yeah, what was up with
older
that?
woman who just like kind of gave us this like look because we were like on the spot that she wanted to go to, and then
Right.
as she's passing us, she kicks off her shoes, and I'm like,
What's
"Those
happening
rocks-
right now?"
Those rocks hurt. Like there's like rocks everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
like, your feet are gonna get cut, and more power to you, girl.
Yeah,
So
halfway up the hillside, she kicks off her shoes, and she's just going barefoot the rest of the way. And we're like, "What is happening?"
it's like she just made her statement. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, take that to. I'm not even gonna say it. Anyways,
You see all kinds of stuff out here, man. It's just it's the full spectrum.
yeah. And so we get back in the Jeeps and we head out. We got back to like that main road and pretty much shot there until like the sun started to set.
Yeah, yeah,
Got some so this kid that was with us, I guess he's like 19.
right.
And
Yeah, he's
Randy got
19.
him. Yeah,
And he's a pro photographer at 19.
Dude,
He's
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 great.
killing it. and he's got his Instagram account. I forgot what he said it was, but he's got like 40,000 followers, and then like he's just like just a total phenom
He
when it
was
comes to it, right?
he was just the photographer because nobody actually remembered his name
No
when
one
we
remembers
first
his name.
met him, and he like fit right in with the crew.
Oh,
Like
totally,
everybody loved him.
totally. He was a cool kid.
And at one point he was in my rig as we're driving to like a shot location, and I'm like, all right, dude, I'm just gonna have to level with you. What's your name? And he goes, yeah, Ryan. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I get out of the Jeep. I'm like, Ryan said we're gonna go and do this shot.
And everyone says, "Who's Ryan?"
Yeah. No, I said it loud just so everyone would like,
It would sink
okay,
in.
his name is
Yeah,
Ryan.
his
Yeah.
name is Ryan.
Yeah. But yeah, it ended up like just being such a great fit for what we were doing, and I hope to see him again on other
I'm
little
looking forward to the
adventures.
pictures because we got an amazing sunset. Mostly because, like I said, it didn't rain here, but the storm was being split like by the mountains,
Yep.
so it never actually got to us. But the filtering of the light and the clouds, the kind of spottiness of the clouds did,
Yep.
and it made for an epic sunset. So I'm hoping that,
Well, I mean, I saw the pre-processed previews that he was showing us were
yeah, on
just
the screen,
all
yeah,
gold. Like I was like, those are awesome. Those are awesome. So the kid, like, he was just on point. He was doing his job really well.
yeah, he was killing it.
And but
There's a bat.
unfortunately, we ended
You
up
see it? Nope.
no,
Nope.
we ended up coming up here. So we were all here together. It was all of us up on the Coyote Trail, and we were trying to do those like nice epic night shots.
Yes.
But it just wasn't clicking. I think by that time everyone was kind of burnt. People were tired, and the shots weren't coming out just right. So we went at it for a little while, and I think he got some good stuff, but
Yeah.
it just wasn't flowing the way it was flowing
Yeah,
earlier.
it really wasn't. It was and part of it is the fact that the lights are, for us, is fantastic. They're super bright, but that's really difficult to capture in a camera
He
at
kept,
night.
and this isn't even a plug. This is just what was happening. He's like, dude, the KC lights are really bright.
They're a little too bright.
So he'd show us previews, and it was just this globe of light.
Yeah,
Like,
just totally blown. And he wasn't even trying to shoot dead on, obviously, like the total rookie mistake,
right.
right? Of trying to shoot dead on. He was off at the side. He was super far away. These lights were just throwing that much light that far, and the camera was just, it couldn't handle it. Like the sensor was just getting blown out, and you couldn't even see the truck. It was just this orb of light off in the distance.
Yeah.
And so,
But I think he eventually did change some angles and get up a little bit higher. I think
yeah,
is
that's what it
ended up
was. He
helping.
got some
Yeah.
elevation, yeah.
Yeah, and so we got some shots. So it wasn't a loss, but I mean, we could have just called it a day once that sunset happened, and we still had some amazing shots with the lights on, and
Yeah.
it was just gorgeous. But yeah, so after we kind of all just decided like we were done, we were over it. We went back into Borrego Springs to get gas, and upon some reflection, and we were thinking we were going to do this podcast, and we really wanted to with KC, with Randy from KC, and
Yep.
with Brad
Yep.
and Adam and all them, but the way it just worked out, we're like, you know what, let's just call it. We'll come back. Let's go back to Anza Borrego and just do it solo. And so yeah,
Right.
so you're just here with me and Frank.
And this is all continuous. Like we started doing this at just about 3 o'clock,
Right.
and it's 10:30 now,
And we
and
haven't stopped.
we haven't stopped.
Yeah.
Right, we've been running from location to location, and this whole time,
Which
everyone's
brings
saying,
us back to dinner.
yeah, everyone's saying, hey, we need to eat. Yes, okay, let's do this first. Okay, then we're gonna eat. Okay, let's go out here to this. Let's check this canyon. Okay, then we're gonna eat.
Yeah.
Let's eat in the canyon. Okay, let's do that. And then we'll do the podcast. Yeah, let's do the podcast in the canyon while we make dinner.
Right.
And the things just started piling up, and before you knew it, it was 9:30, and we're like, this ain't gonna happen, man. Like,
Right.
and if it does happen, we're gonna be here till midnight. So, and by the way, everyone's driving back to San Diego tonight.
Yeah, and we were not on our way back to Ramona.
Right.
So for us, it's like, okay, that adds another hour of travel.
Yeah, they were like, hey, let's do the podcast in Ramona. We'll get food. We'll eat in Ramona. We'll get food, and we'll do the podcast there. And we said, guys, that's still an hour away.
Yeah, by the time we get out there,
It would have been 11.
we would have had to find some kind of diner.
Yeah, we would have to find a hotel, man.
Yeah, we would have been doing the podcast from Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But-
Some Aliberto's taco shop.
Yeah, right. But no, we ended up just coming back to Anza, and kind of glad we did. It is a little sketch. especially after we got lost a couple times on our way back, and we went down
Yeah.
this like
Turns out at night in pitch darkness,
yeah,
it's kind of tough to tell the road you're supposed to be on.
and then
So
you hit those signs that's like dead end, and then you like drive down it, you're like, yes, this would be my end, and I would be dead. You know, like it just so sketchy, and and
But see, what I was trying to tell you too on the radio was that the first street we went down said dead end, and that was a dead end. But
right,
then the right street that we went down,
yeah,
this
this one
one,
said dead end as
said dead
well,
end also,
but
and yet it was not.
nope, nope.
It went to the
So
trailhead. So, um, I get it. But it was, yeah, we had to kind of make a couple of U-turns here and there, but we got it. We got back.
actually, when we first came up with the whole crew, we got chastised by the Rangers because some
Oh
of us
yeah.
had our lights on.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have your lights on back here.
Right.
Ollie, you're going to have to carry the conversation for the next 30 seconds because
Oh
the
yeah.
temperature just dropped and it got really cold. So I am
It
going to
did,
get my
huh?
jacket. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
going to get my jacket out.
No worries. So, where was I? Yes. Um, the Rangers were like, "You guys cannot have your lights on," and we're thinking to ourselves like, "Hey, we're we're on an off-road style road, so like we just want to make sure we have full line of sight." But I guess technically, the road leading up into Anza Borrego, even though it is dirt and it's not paved, is still considered just a regular road, and you cannot have your off-road lights on. It is illegal. That was news to me, but very cool to know, and filed in the back of my head for future reference. But yeah,
Okay, I'm back. How'd you do?
oh, I think the listeners were better for it
Good
actually.
story.
Yeah,
They now know they cannot use their OHV lights on Coyote Canyon.
that's right, and it's a good thing that they told us because that's all we did was turn on our OHV lights to get those shots. So
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah,
all
now,
campers and
yeah, I
rangers.
feel really bad for the guys that were camping back there because you'd have these UFOs basically roaming down
Right.
like the highway because that's what it looks like. It just looks like these like 6 UFOs like kind of just cruising down the down the dirt road.
Yeah. I mean,
Luckily, we tried our best to not shine it in their campsites, and like I said, we were just doing photos. So
I don't think there was any way we could have avoided
yeah,
being inconvenienced. So
yeah,
at one point, I'm like, let's just kill the headlights while we, because there was a lot of points where we had to just sit there
yep,
and
yep,
wait for Ryan to kind of set up his shot. And yeah, it's just that increasing feeling of guilt, like
totally.
knowing
And it's
that if
getting late. It's
I
like
was,
8:30,
oh
9
yeah,
o'clock at night.
dude,
Like
if I
people are
was
settling
camping
in.
with my fire, like, going and all that, like, I would not want some dumbasses driving through with all their lights
Totally.
on a road where clearly you didn't need all those lights.
The whole point was to get away from that, right? To come out
Yeah.
here in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
So, if by some miracle somebody from, you know, this trip is listening to this podcast and you were inconvenienced by our lights, we apologize.
Super sorry.
Right.
Super sorry.
But the
Genuinely
shots
sorry.
were
The
totally
shots are
worth
going to
it.
be beautiful though, and I think even you'll appreciate them,
Yeah.
listener guy. You'll be like, "Wow, that was worth it."
Here comes the hate mail.
Yeah.
Um
Do
anyways.
not send your hate mail to info@riggedfordirt.com.
So yeah, so here we are. We are on the side of this road, a far less exciting side of road than we had at King of the Hammers.
Oh, you know what? You're right. There is
Yeah.
a parallel.
This is
'Cause we
very
totally,
much like
yeah.
what we did at King of the
I didn't
Hammers.
even think
except
about
there is
that.
nothing driving by.
We're kind of like a side road show.
Right, the sky is just blanketed with just millions of stars.
That's my favorite thing
could
about
just
going
see.
camping, to be honest with you.
I
Is
mean, it's endless. out
yeah,
here,
is just actually getting to see the sky in its natural goodness.
right. Yeah, let me see. I just turned off my lights on the rig and
It
they
just
popped
went
up. They just
dark
exploded.
instantly. Yeah. And now you can see the Milky Way. And you can see all the.
Yeah, if you kill your headlight, I think we'll.
What you're not going to see is the animals coming to eat us.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, maybe they don't like Persian food. Wow.
It is really nice though. Now that everything is pitch dark, now we're sitting out here. It's completely pitch dark.
just two completely
Normal dudes,
unprotected dudes,
unprotected dudes,
out
hanging
here
on the side of the road,
side of a road.
side of a dirt road
So
in the middle
random.
of freaking nowhere.
And this is what we do for you.
This is what we do for you guys.
Yeah.
So
We come out here so you should come out here.
yeah.
And so basically from this one episode, I hope you guys know Tierra del Sol, definitely an event to go to.
Yeah, worth coming to. I was not not a big fan because it's a big Jeep event, and obviously I'm not a Jeep guy.
But hey,
but-
there was Toyotas and
Yeah,
all kinds.
yeah.
It wasn't
It's-
just Jeep. I
it's
think they started
totally-
with Jeeps.
It's
But it-
totally worth coming to.
Yeah, evolved into
It's
the
a
love of
big
off road.
spectacle, like you said, right? I mean that like what you said was perfect. It's basically King of the Hammers without the racing.
Yep,
It's
without the
it's a
big race.
total kind of fun event.
Yeah, and
So
guys, like at one point that first night on Friday, we were going to originally go out on a ride with on a trail run with Jen Wright, and I think they ended up getting really comfortable, and beers were open, and by the time they were like actually going to go, I think they decided they were just going to hang out. So
yeah,
we did our own thing. But yeah, I mean, there's people like setting up rides, and people are doing those obstacles I was talking about. So
yep.
Tierra del Sol, put that on your list if you haven't been, or if you were curious, definitely go. And then what was it called? Font Point.
Font Point,
Font
Fonts
Point.
Point,
Fonts Point.
yeah,
Okay,
Fonts Point.
definitely a location to go check out. I mean, it's breathtaking. Take your significant other, or take that special somebody, or take that girl you just asked out on a date. Like you
The
will
girl you
get
just asked out a date and somehow went camping with.
yeah, you will get points. I mean, you don't even have to go camping. Just go out there and
That's
just
true.
take it in, because the views are majestic.
I guess if you're from San Diego, it's not that much of a haul to get out here. It's only a couple hours.
And even if you're in Orange County, it's still like a few hours.
Yeah, it's
all
not
right.
bad.
2.5 hours, whatever. Yeah, it's worth it. It's
It's
totally
totally
worth it.
worth it.
And then right now, and hopefully still by the time you guys will listen to this, there's like massive flower blooms going on
Oh
everywhere
yeah, yeah.
because of
And I
all the
forgot the
rain.
super bloom's happening.
Yep, yep. So
We got so much rain.
that alone is amazing all around that area.
Yeah,
There's
I saw a stat on the news 2 days ago that said that like the majority of California, except for like a little band of the state up by Oregon, is officially out of a drought. Like
Oh,
that's how
really?
much rain we got in the
No
last two
shit.
months.
I
Yeah,
was wondering about that. I was wondering if we were actually going to
yeah,
get out
like
of that.
officially the drought. We are no longer in a drought state. Like
Okay.
we are surplus of water.
Fantastic. Yeah, usually it's the snow cap, right? Like,
Totally,
yeah, and I think Mammoth is at like 35
it's
feet.
ridiculous, man.
35
So yeah, for
feet.
people who aren't
Mammoth.
listening, in California, somewhat, from somewhere else in the world or even the country, you probably know California is notorious for basically burning to the ground every summer, right? Like we're just a giant like
This year
box of
was no
tinder.
exception. It was
Yeah,
a
this year
bad
was
year.
no exception. The difference this year, though, is that we got a ridiculous amount of rain in the
Right.
last 2 months. Like it's been basically raining every 3 days for 3 days nonstop for 2 months. It's it's been insane.
Yep.
So it's been like I think Seattle's a little jealous. We kind of basically took their shtick. So, anyways,
So Fonts Point.
flowers.
Yep, flowers, and then Anza Borrego. Like at least So I've been wanting to come out here. I did not realize the first time I'd be out here was at a time where I couldn't really actually see anything.
Yeah.
Um, there's definitely some very cool cacti on the side of the road. But
Oh,
that's
the ocotillos.
yeah, that's
Yeah, so those actually aren't cactus.
oh, they're not.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Little bit of
Very
information.
interesting.
So the
looking
ocotillo,
plants.
and I knew it wasn't a cactus, but get this. This is the crazy part that I actually learned from Brad, Trail Recon Brad. So we're walking up to Fonts Point, right? And one of the other guys, Adam, I think,
Okay.
said, whoa, look at these spines. And Brad's like, these aren't spines. Those are actually flowers. Those are the buds. And so what happens is when it rains and the tree gets green, these spines they open, and that's the flower.
Oh, no kidding.
And then when it dries up on a living tree, when it's like summertime or whatnot, they close, and they look like a spine. They look like a
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
needle.
So that's why I thought they were cactus. Oh,
Yeah,
very cool.
No, they're totally not. Yeah, it's crazy.
No, thanks for that. Like, because
Hence the name Ocotillo Wells is full of ocotillo.
well, there you go. Yeah, and I'm now like that much more educated.
Well, I hope everyone is a little bit. I didn't know that. I've lived here my whole life. I didn't know that those were not spines. That those were flowers.
So if you went and grabbed one, it would just kind of break off. Like, it
Yeah,
wouldn't-
yeah. They just snap right off.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean they're still sharp because they're they're dry. They come to a point. They're still sharp,
Hmm.
but yeah, they'll just break right off.
So with that said, yeah, I mean, I don't know how beautiful this place is, but I've seen other pictures, and the sky at night is amazing. So
Yeah, I
for that
gotta say,
alone, it's beautiful.
in my opinion, Anza Borrego and the surrounding area, Anza's national park, or state park, I think actually. Sorry, this place does not get enough credit. Like it's massive, and two, it's probably one of the few places other than Big Bear that has a ton of trails.
Okay.
Like there's a ton for you to explore out here,
But
and
it
you
was
can camp.
closed today.
Well, this trail was closed.
Okay.
Like this Coyote Trail halfway up before you get to the kind of little water, little
So
creek.
this is just one trail.
There's one, yeah.
Got it.
Totally.
Got it.
There's
So
like hundreds out here, and they go for miles. They weave, intersect. There's some historic trails that are out here.
no
Slot
doubt.
canyons for both hiking and for driving.
Very cool.
Um, there's mud caves. There's all kinds of really cool stuff out here.
Okay, so
And
I thought this was like the main trail to get in.
no,
Got it. So
this
we just
is
happened to go on the one trail that was
this
closed.
is like, how can I put it? This is Anza Light. This
Got
is
it.
like what the person in their Prius or Civic that wants to see the super bloom and go into the desert. This is the trail they take.
I see.
Right?
So this is not the hardcore.
Nah, I mean it
Okay.
gets a little tougher once you pass the gate. It definitely it used to be more challenging. I think I heard that it's not so much anymore. But
Interesting.
it definitely gets more challenging than it is. This road, it feels like they just graded it 2 months ago because it's buttery smooth.
So we'll come back here.
Yeah, yeah. We'll have to come back and go a little further in because it's actually pretty nice once you start getting up into the hills.
Right.
And the blooms get more dense up there too.
Very cool.
So, and then like I said, there's Fish Creek is a really popular one and that goes into a slot canyon, or there's an offshoot into a slot canyon from there. There's Devil's Drop Off is out here.
Well, this isn't too far from where we live. So I
No,
say,
we got to come out here more for sure.
yeah, we'll definitely have to come out and do another little cast from a proper
You know what else
location.
was out here on a little bit of a tangent, but do you remember the art installation that was going on last summer where they had those mirrored houses?
No.
You never saw that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. So there was these houses that were built, and they're right here in Anza, I think, if I remember correctly. They were different artists put installations, but they all kind of had this similar theme where they were all mirrors. So there was literally what looked like a little cabin,
Okay.
and it was all mirrored. The roof was mirrored, the outside, everything.
No doubt.
Yeah,
Oh
so
wow.
you'd look at it, and it would almost look like a mirage or like it wasn't there because it was reflecting the terrain around it. So it was very like
So is it still there?
no, no, it's
It's gone.
they were only there for like a year.
Oh man.
And so the
That sounds
installation is
amazing.
gone now. Then there was another one that was like blades of glass or mirrors kind of coming out of like giant blades of grass almost, like these kind
Huh.
of like quartz style, like crystalline style. And they were like 6, 7 feet tall, and they were kind of coming out like a spine in the desert,
That's sick.
right? And they were kind of waving along the desert, and it was really cool.
So that was out here in Anza.
Yeah. And so
Nice.
Anza does a lot of really cool stuff like that, where they do kind of these art installations in the desert.
Very cool.
And I don't know, I kind of waver on art in the desert. Like for example, do you remember the pool? You remember the pool, right? That was in the Mojave,
Right.
right? There was like you'd have to like. There's no GPS coordinates to it technically. An artist basically built a pool that opens and closes, solar operated, the whole 9 yards, like a legit pool,
Yeah.
right? And you just had to find it. You had to go on this hunt and just find it. And
There's a lot of stuff like that in
a
the
lot of
Mojave.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like, I kind of teeter on how I feel about art installations in the desert
Right.
because on the one hand, it's it's a it's a distraction to the natural beauty to
Uh-huh.
what's happening out here
Sure.
and just coming out here in general. But on the other hand, it's it's kind of a reward for venturing out here.
Sure.
Like it's like a hidden gem,
It's
like
like a geocache.
yeah, like a geocache or like a real life version of an Easter egg, right? Like you come out here like, whoa, there's this crazy art installation out in the middle of nowhere that I get to enjoy by myself because it's way out in the middle of nowhere.
That's so rad.
And then there's the flip side, which I think you and I are going to disagree on, is the balancing of rocks.
Dude, I love the
What?
patience
What?
and just the determination of these guys to balance rocks. I mean,
Oh,
and who cares? The rocks.
dude, it drives me up the wall.
Why?
It just drives me insane. I don't know why. I do know why. Actually, you know what? I know exactly
Your
why.
OCD kicks in or what?
No, no, it's. I'm probably gonna get I'm probably gonna get hate mail for this. But it's a distraction. Like, why? It's not natural. You're not centering some like earthly chi or something, right? Or like some crazy like summoning some crazy deep earth energy.
Sure.
Like, you're leaving a human imprint
Uh-huh.
on a natural piece of land, whether it's a river or a desert setting or whatever, right? Wherever these people balance rocks on, like, lakes, or river banks, and in streams and
Right.
campsites, or even along the sides of like these trails where you're supposed to tread lightly and leave no trace.
Uh-huh.
You're leaving a trace.
Of rocks
Yeah,
that were
nature
already
doesn't
there.
pile rocks like that.
Well, the rocks were there, and all you did was just kind of rearrange them a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think you're
you left, but
disturbing
see,
the
and in
great
my
order
mind,
of
the way I'm
things.
looking at it is you left your mark. You rearranged what nature had created, right, through the natural course of, um, wind, water, rain.
Think
You
of
know,
them as big pieces of sand, right? Every time you take a step through the desert,
big
you
pieces
are
of
rearranging
sand.
all the sand beneath your
You're
feet.
rearranging all those little
Okay?
tiny little pieces of
So
sand, all
all
the
they did,
granular sand
they just
bits.
made it prettier. Okay? Instead of your footprint, it is a beautiful piece of art that is in the middle of like a river or creek or, on the side of the road. But reframe it and just think of it as an opportunity for you to get your aggression out, for
So
it
now,
to
so
for it to
now,
be there. You
I'm
could just kick
aggro.
him over.
Now I'm
No, you could
aggro.
just kick him over. Like, so
Oh, I see.
I'm on the center, bro. Like, I don't care on the left or right. Like, I don't go either way too hard.
Okay, well, here's a question for you then.
Yeah.
Does that make me a jerk? Like, am I an asshole for then kicking over someone's balancing act?
I don't know. Maybe that guy was an asshole for putting those rocks there. I don't know. Everyone's an asshole to somebody for
I'm feeling
something.
judged, man. There's just judgment on all sides.
No, I think just give in to whatever you want to do and own it and move on.
Yeah, no, I know. So I'm curious what people that are listening to this podcast, or what you think
But
about
keep
that.
stacking rocks.
What you
Get
think
out there,
about that.
stack a rock. I can't do it. I keep
Don't stack a
trying. The
rock.
damn rocks
Stack
keep
a rock.
falling over. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. You stack a rock, I'll be over about. I'll be come by soon to kick it over.
And I'll be there to cheer you on. The rock stackers. I mean.
Frank kick rocks.
So, but yeah, no, I'm over that. But it's interesting to bring up the topic of what one person would think is good and another person would think is bad. Because
Yeah.
in that same vein, I had posted that Petzl had sent me
Oh, right.
bunch of headlights, and it was after a conversation I had with their director of professional.
Which actually ties back into a conversation that I think we had back in Calico. Right? Like this all goes back to a conversation we had back in Calico during when we were recording episode 1.
Hmm.
And we were talking about like, land use and,
Right.
land protection, and how important is it or is it not to support companies that promote land use or that actively seek to ruin OHV land use.
So I have a really good friend, and he's a friend of yours as well, who was running off-road recreation park out
Right.
in Moab,
Right.
and we'll come out with his name once he comes on, because he said he's actually interested in coming on our podcast.
Nice.
But
he'll be fun.
he had mentioned this thing about Petzl, which is what prompted me to go speak to Petzl and kind of directly and say, hey, so a good friend of mine has this opinion of you guys that you don't support off-road,
Right.
that you guys are not in support of off-road land use and having these 4x4 vehicles kind of do their thing.
Or more importantly, like not even that you don't support it or that you don't have an opinion. It's the fact that you do have an opinion to not support OHV.
Well, I mean, so when it was presented to me at Calico, it was kind of, he had just kind of mentioned it. But
Right.
he hadn't shown me any kind of letter or anything that kind of justified
Right.
that thought. Well, turns out there is a letter.
Oh, really?
And so he had so after I posted that thing on Instagram and I had said, hey, based off of this rumor, I went and talked to this guy. He had responded very strongly. He said, it's not a rumor. And so to dig in more, I called him up and we kind of played tag a little bit because he was out on the East Coast, so our timing wasn't matching up.
Yeah, yeah.
Finally get a hold of him, and we had a nice 40-minute phone call, and basically, yeah, he kind of ran it down for me. He's like, yeah, so there was this letter. It was signed by over 100 companies, from everyone
Right.
from Petzl to Mountain Hardware to names that you would recognize, North Face,
Yeah, I mean, these are all names that I guarantee you that most of us, if not all of us, have some of this gear in our kit.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
Absolutely.
100%.
We're probably wearing some of it.
And what was really interesting was, oh, you see that little mouse in the middle of the road right there? What is that? Is that a mouse or the heck is that thing?
I don't know what that is actually.
It's like a little varmint.
Yeah, it's a little critter.
a little critter out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so basically, this letter it went pretty in depth regarding hey, we need to protect our lands like against mining and the impact of like basically like impact of humans on the environment. All stuff that you could probably anybody could get behind.
Sure. Sure.
And then right towards the end, it's like we need to stop this land from being used for like mining and the destructive whatever of off road.
Right.
And it's like it was almost like just kind of thrown in there
Totally. It was like an afterthought.
right
It's
at the
like
end. So if you
mining, and then oh yeah, these guys too.
if you were reading this letter as one of these companies, I could almost see like if you weren't really like taking your time and doing your due diligence to like fully read the letter, you might have read like half of the way in, three-quarters of the way in, and been like, "Yeah, I'm behind it," signed
Yep.
it, put my name on it, and then moved on with your day,
Yeah. Exactly.
and not really like kind of broke down the idea of like what does this mean, like who are they really talking about, who's affected by this, and what are the kind of people that were kind of going to make life harder for,
Right. Right.
and if you want to speak out against mining, well, go throw your phone away because it's because of mining that you have the rare earth,
The
element
rare earth metals that are
metals
in.
that yeah
Yeah.
that are in your phone,
Yeah.
and
I
it's
mean,
because of mining that you have your TV and your coffee maker and your shoes. Like um, the 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 metal that we need to make factories in order to create the things that we use that we don't think even use metal, use metal. So
oh,
it's like
it's down even into microchips. It's the reason why electronics are recycled. I mean,
yeah.
honestly,
So I
there's a
mean,
lot of really valuable metals in those things.
I think unfortunately as populations grow, and I think there's also the opportunity to become better at recycling, right? But
Sure.
as populations grow and as resources become used you know in more capacity, we're gonna have to search for those minerals and metals and whatever the hell it is, like we're gonna have to search for them in other places. And
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation because, or interesting topic, I should say, because um, you can also take that same thing just like you did from a completely different angle, right? So let's say like most people agree that renewable energy is positive, right? Solar farms, solar energy, wind energy, um, basically not producing more fossil fuels, right? Regardless of your stance on global warming, right? At the end of the day, not making an impact is always better than making an impact, right?
sure, you can argue that.
Totally, right? But the cost of that is that now you have miles and miles and miles of desert that have wind farms,
Right.
right? So it's it's not there's always going to be a loser, right? Like you can never make a change or a decision or an impact,
Right.
right, without it having an effect on the other side. Same thing with like solar farms, right? So there's that giant solar farm down in
Oh, on the way
on state
into
line.
Vegas.
Yeah, on
Yeah.
state line.
Yep.
So that thing actually literally
Kills birds.
it vaporizes birds. Like it gets so hot, the focused energy
Right.
of
They
those
just
of
fry.
those mirrors, it's so hot that they just evaporate. Like they just
Right.
they're incinerated. There's videos of this, right? Where and so all these like kind of bird activists and naturalists are trying to get this farm shut down. The
Right.
irony is these are the same people that want renewable energy. I mean, most of us do, right? So,
It's like, what do you think it's gonna look like?
well, yeah, I mean, it's
I'm
that's
sorry, but there's only so much land,
yeah.
and it needs
Like
to be somewhat close to a populated area,
it's
right?
yeah, it's really I mean, and given you can argue all day long about the effectiveness of that particular type of solar energy because essentially what this thing does is those giant pillars in the middle of all the mirrors,
Yep. Yep.
right? So what those are is those are steam turbines.
Yep.
So the mirrors basically superheat the box. They steam water, and then that turns a turbine, which then creates energy.
Yep.
So that's what those are. And the argument is that they're very wasteful, right? They're not the most efficient way to create renewable energy.
Yeah, but you know what the reality is we don't have the most efficient ways yet.
We
Like
don't.
we don't
It's
have
not
like the
there.
perfect system. So these kind of solar farms are being created in the effort to like, build up to that.
So how does all of this tie in to off-roading, right? So and I'll tell you how. There was a discussion that took place in like Friends of the Mojave, right? And what it was is there's a proposal
Hmm.
to put a wind farm within eyesight of the Mojave Trail.
Right.
So right now, the Mojave Trail, you can do most of it, if not all of it, without seeing
Anything.
anything.
Yep.
Right? Even though the fact is, you're only like, I don't know, 20 miles from any highway.
Sure.
Right? Like you're literally going in between two major highways.
Yep.
Right? So, but it's so effective at kind of isolating you from that it's a awesome trail. So, how does the experience of that trail change and become affected when you come around a bend and off in the distance there's a giant wind farm?
Right.
Like it totally changes, right? Like
There's your stacked rocks.
yeah, it
Yeah.
totally changes. So yeah, exactly. Your stack rocks, you're full circle on that, right? So, and there's something that I learned a long time ago, which you can never do anything good without doing something bad.
Right. Every action has an opposite and equal
Yeah,
reaction.
yeah, and here's like the most like base fundamental explanation of that, right? You can't feed the lion without killing a gazelle. You can't
So
you can't kill the gazelle without killing some brush or nature trees and
I
stuff,
get what you're going at.
right?
You're basically saying there's like a hierarchy and a kind of like um a food chain basically,
It's
and
like a food
everything.
chain, but
Yeah.
more importantly, like look, if you want to save lions, you're gonna have to kill gazelles, right? So
Right.
if you wanna make eggs, you're gonna have to crack some eggs, right? You're gonna have to, you know what I mean? So it's like you you have to accept the fact that you know if you want what's more important to you, right? The gazelle or the lion?
So this is a great point, and it's something that I've been trying to like have as many conversations with people as I can, which is you can't be on the left, all the way on the left, and you cannot be all the way on the right.
Ooh, you're treading in dangerous
No,
territory,
that's
buddy.
fine. Bring it.
You're
Like
bringing politics
the
into the
real
podcast.
no, no, no. You. That's how you took it. The left and right is just one extreme versus the other.
Okay, okay. I'll take
So
that. I'll take
you
the fact
can't
that
be
I brought my
completely
baggage
white
into this
and you
conversation.
can't be completely black, right? Like you
Sure.
can't be um, all
No, you
sweet
can't.
and all
Absolutely
sour.
not. Yeah,
So you
absolutely.
need that. You need that middle ground, and I'm saying people need to come more towards the center on everything.
Absolutely.
So the more you go on the left side
Absolutely.
of things and the more you go on the right side of things, all you're going to do is you're going to point your finger at somebody and they're going to be pointing their finger back and you're going to have two fingers in each other's faces and nothing's going to move.
That's basically what's happening. Yeah, that's basically life
Dude,
right
that's
now.
like right now.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about politics.
I just saw a shimmer
Sure.
over there,
It's probably a
right on the
snake
hillside,
coming to bite me.
like an eyeball,
Oh, wonderful.
because nothing out there should be shimmering.
The
like that.
the reality is we're kind of coming close to the end of our podcast anyways. So
That's true. That's
we'll
true.
be packing up and
We've
leaving
we've
soon.
gone on some tangents in this podcast that haven't necessarily been off road or overland related, but I think it's partially because we're tired and we're hungry,
Right.
and you know what? Forget it. I don't even know why
That
I'm
brings
apologizing.
us back to dinner, which you haven't even eaten yet. So
That's true.
your mountain house, whatever.
It's all cold now.
Yeah, it's all cold. And
But you know what? My point was that like I'm not even apologizing for the fact that we went off on tangents. This is what happens when you go camping and you just chill around a fire.
That's right. Except we have no fire.
Except we have no fire. 'Cause
So
you can't burn a fire
my
right
hands are
here.
getting cold again.
Yeah.
It's freaking King of the Hammers all over again.
Yep.
Um,
I agree. On that note, my hands are. I've
So-
been switching hands on this mic for like the last 10 minutes because
So,
my hands are freezing.
here's what I say. I say we're gonna come back and we're gonna try to get my buddy on this podcast
Absolutely.
and have a proper discussion about the left and the right and
Yeah,
how
yeah.
maybe we can try to find the center.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that'll
So-
be episode 5, 6, 7. I don't know. We'll
yeah.
see.
We'll figure it out.
But for now, let's pay our bills real quick
Yes.
and wrap this up. So I will start off by saying KC already got a lot of love and they give us a lot of love.
Yeah.
And it's thanks to companies like KC, which really they formed the root. Like they formed that strong root and the stump of the industry. They've become like the foundation of what so much has been built upon. From the roots to where they're at now. And I'd love to still go back and get Randy or Brad from KC and get them on the show and have a nice like conversation about how they started and how they got going, because they've, the last year and a half or so has just been
Oh, it's
like
been
a
phenomenal.
skyrocket for them.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
You know what my favorite little factoid about KC is?
What's that?
Because most people know this about me, that I'm obsessive when it comes to researching something I'm going to buy.
Sure.
My favorite factoid that won me over is, they started in making landing lights for aircraft?
Well, basically
Aircraft lights?
so KC took the lights that the aircraft were using for landing, and that became their first light
Yeah.
that they actually brought into off road.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah, because
It's,
at the
it's a
time,
reapplication of this giant halogen bulb that
right.
puts out an insane amount of power, and fashioning it for off-roading.
Yeah, so they came out with a cool video recently of like their roots
Yeah.
and how they started, and that that was one of the things they covered, which was the strongest light at the time were these aircraft lights, and so they like, well, why don't we put them on these like these like dune buggies that were like driving,
And those were the daylighters, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
those are the
daylighters. Yep.
OG, yeah, and it's like that's what kind of like the new like Gravity Sixes are all
Kind of
based on.
an homage to the
Yeah,
the origins.
yeah, we've got those both of us have those Pro 6 LED bars, which are comprised, for me, it's a series of 8 lights.
Yeah, me too. I got 8.
Yeah, you got 8 as well. And, I've been nothing but happy with my
Oh,
KC setup.
yeah.
And I think
Totally.
you guys, if anybody out there is looking for an awesome lighting company to go with for your rig, you know what? DM me. I'm going to get you a discount.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
DM
like
me.
that.
I'm gonna get you a discount.
Wow.
Hey,
Okay,
I got you too, buddy.
Hey, man, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, folks, take advantage, because that's
Yeah, hit me
look,
up.
these lights they're fantastic, and they're worth every cent. And I mean, like the common phrase, right? Especially in the overland world, buy once, cry once, and these are the epitome. Like, you buy a set, you're done.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk and let's get you guys set up.
So I also want to thank our supporter, Rig Supply, right,
Yep.
for taking care of us and jumping on board from the start, recognizing a good thing when they saw it.
Yep. Yeah, no doubt. They've been nothing but supportive, and as a matter of fact, I just recently spoke to Rigged last week, and they're pretty stoked on what we've been doing, and they're trying to actually get involved with our Tacoma project over at 511.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're putting some more work and effort into that rig and get it out for Overland Expo West.
Yep.
I don't believe it's going to make Easter Jeep Safari as a support rig, but it will be at Overland Expo West with Kate. And as a matter of fact, I'll be trying to head out to Easter Jeep as well with KC. So
Nice.
so
Yeah, I'm
cool,
gonna try
guys.
and make that too, actually.
Yeah.
And then obviously Overland Expo West is another one that's coming up.
Yep.
Right. So we'll definitely try and make those and do podcasts from those as well, with all of the personalities and all of the goodies that you'll find at those events.
And Rigged will be there.
And Rig will be there every
Yep.
part of the way. So definitely check them out. RIGD Supply, rigsupply.com. They make some really cool stuff. A lot of like the universal swing out that we've been talking about, the 4Runner 4th and 5th gen swing out tire carrier, and a bunch of other goodies that you
The
guys need to check out.
anti-wobble hitch extension.
Yeah,
which
the
is a good
anti-wobble
one.
hitch extension, which
Yep.
is just money in and of itself. So
For all you mountain bikers out there, and with the tires on the back of your rigs, I know it's going to be hard to clear that tire, so you need yourself a little extension.
Totally.
That is a nice extension to get.
So on
So,
that note, thanks for
yeah.
listening.
On behalf of my cold freezing hands,
Yeah.
you guys take care. This is Ollie.
This is Frank.
Thank you for listening.